Hello everybody, my name is Citrus, and you already know what we're going to talk about. It's been all over the news. Today, there was a Nintendo Direct, and we watched it, and I reacted to it. You can go watch my reaction wherever it is, I think in this corner. It's been some hours now. That happened at 3 o'clock, or it ended at 4. It's now 8. I've calmed down, I've collected myself, drank some water. Now that we're all level-headed individuals, I think it is time to actually discuss what was shown off in this Direct. What kind of games were we getting here? It's funny because this is not really a Direct I expected necessarily. I heard a bunch of rumors because people were like, oh, they always do a Direct in September, we're gonna get one this time, come on. But I don't know, for some reason I was just like, it would be so Nintendo to not do a Direct this year, because it's such a thing, you know? Whenever people are really talking about Nintendo doing something, oh, we're definitely gonna get a Direct this time, oh, blah 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 blah, somehow they never do it. Somehow it always just works out like that. Or oh, they're totally gonna do a Metroid Prime trilogy collection, because Metroid Prime 4 is about to come out. A lot of people haven't played Metroid Prime. It would make total sense for them to bring a Metroid Prime trilogy to Switch. And then they never did. So yeah, I was I wasn't doubting the people who were saying that we would get a Direct, but I was kind of operating under the pretense that we probably wouldn't get it, and that if it did happen, it would be a nice surprise. And lo and behold, I got a very nice surprise. But what was actually in this Direct? What made it such a good surprise? I'm gonna go item by item and talk about each thing as it happened in the Direct. And I'm gonna avoid some of these games just because I don't have a whole lot to say about them, like Disco Elysium. What do you want me to say? It's Disco Elysium. Obviously my favorite game of all time. I know nothing about that. So I started off the Direct, kind of a weird cold open. Usually we get these where they like to open with something big, you know. Sometimes it's Smash DLC, sometimes it's just a brand new game. But then other times we get weird cold opens. I remember there was a Direct a while ago, I think it might have been E3 2019 or something, where they cold opened with Daemon X Machina, which was just a weird game to choose for a cold open. And similarly, they decided to open this Direct with some Monster Hunter DLC, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Now normally this would be something that I kind of just alright, yeah, whatever. But I actually like Monster Hunter now. I bought Monster Hunter Rise literally when it dropped months and months and months ago. I got really into the game through the demo. And so I had a big Monster Hunter phase for a second. But I kind of fell off after a month. You know, I played the game. I did a lot of stuff. I beat the story, you know, the credits rolled. Obviously with Monster Hunter, there's way more to do after the credits roll, but you know, I played it, I had my fun. Once it started getting into the repeated monsters, that's when I was kind of I'm good. Although I know there are more, I just don't really know how to access those, because I'm a very novice at Monster Hunter. What I do know though is that these big named DLC packs are usually a big deal. With Monster Hunter World, they put out Iceborne, and I remember people really loving that, so I'm hoping it's a similar case with Sunbreak, because I would actually be interested in jumping back into that game. I had a ton of fun with Monster Hunter Rise, literally making Monster Hunter from, you know, a game series I didn't really think about all that much to one of my favorite new action RPGs that I've played in the recent, you know, past couple of years. Anyways, after that, we got another look at Mario Party Superstars. This game, you know, when it was revealed, I was kind of oh cool, Mario Party. And obviously it's a little more interesting than that. They're going back, they're remastering some of the old mini games and boards. But I've never really been a Mario Party guy. Usually, I don't know, me and my family, siblings, friends, we'd all just play Mario Kart. We'd play Smash Bros. Me and my friends used to have a lot of fun going into New Super Mario Bros. U and playing the multiplayer in there, which was just total chaos. But yeah, Mario Party just always kind of eluded me, and I think it's because around that Wii U generation was when we started getting some of the worst ones in the series, you know, Mario Party 9 and 10. where you're like in a car or something. You know, it was getting really weird and wasn't like the typical Mario Party formula that I think everyone had come to expect. Point is, I don't have any nostalgia for Mario Party, any of the past games or any of the past mini games. So, you know, when they were going over that in this trailer, I was kind of like, alright, yeah, it looks good. I guess it's nice that these games and these boards have been sort of time-tested. You know, people have played these past versions of these mini games forever. So, you know, people know that they're good. What is really exciting to me about Mario Party, or Mario Party Superstars, God, that's naming. See, you have Super Mario Party, and then Mario Party Superstars. It's confusing, man. Anyways, the most exciting thing for me is the online features, because we kind of heard about this in the first trailer. They expanded on it a little bit more here. Being able to pause your games and then start them back up, just having online from the get-go, obviously very nice. And they also mentioned some specific modes that you can play online, like this mini-game rush where you just try and survive for as long as possible. That sounds really fun. I really, really like the sound of this. This is starting to sound like a really proper Mario Party, one that we haven't gotten in a very long time, so definitely looking forward to that. Next is a pretty interesting one. I usually wouldn't talk about a game like this, but Voice of Cards. This is one of those weird Square Enix, like, experimental games where they're just throwing shit at the wall, seeing what happens. And normally, you know, I'd kind of just look at that and be like, alright, whatever, Square, you do you. But this time, we have Yoko Taro on the team of people working on this game. I don't think he's directing it, I can't remember exactly, but he is a part of it, which makes this a little more interesting for me because I love Nier Automata, and he obviously directed that game, so, you know, it's kind of interesting to see him go in such a different direction with a card game. But there is a demo, they announced that, and I guess I'll try it out, I'll see if I like it. I kind of have my doubts because I'm just not really into how it looks from the trailer with like this weird, it's like a card board game. The cards make the board, but then there's also like card battling. I can't really wrap my head around it, so maybe I'll try it out, but I'm not sure. Next we have the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC, the second wave. We got wave 1, I believe, earlier this year, and it was fine. I don't think anyone really cared. Like, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity didn't really make that big of a splash when it came out. Obviously, I thought it was great. I really, really loved the game. And, you know, hardcore Zelda fans definitely went ahead and picked that one up. But, you know, in the general consensus, I think a lot of people still kind of looked at it and was like, it's a Warriors game, I'll pass. So then when you have mediocre DLC for this game that not everybody is interested in, nobody really cares that much. I think it gave Zelda, like, her bike. What else did that DLC do? But much like how Breath of the Wild's first wave of DLC wasn't that good, the second wave is a lot more substantial, and just like how in Breath of the Wild DLC, the second wave was like story content proper, it seems like we're getting some story content here. Kind of hard to say because the trailers for the DLC have been really vague. I don't know why they're doing this with Age of Calamity specifically, where it's just really vague details on what the DLC is. Which is weird because you'd think that you'd want to sell it really hard because it's DLC. You know, it's kind of a lot to ask for somebody to buy your game and then pay more for the additional content. You really gotta sell it. You really gotta make it look like a nice package. Over here we just got, oh, there's story game details and, you know, new story content. And, oh, you can play as, the researcher people, man, I forgot their names. Anyways, I might pick it up if it actually does have a meaningful addition to the story. And I mean, I'm kind of in the mood to play some more Hyrule Warriors. I've been thinking about going back to it kind of recently. So who knows? Maybe I'll pick that DLC up now that there might be something more to do in it. And this was a very weird one again. Square hitting us with some weird stuff again. They had a lot in this direct now that I think about it. Chocobo GP, I think, spiritual successor or sequel to Chocobo Racing on the PS1, and this one is looking kind of like a Mario Kart clone. Not to say that it's a bad thing, because I think if anyone could do a Mario Kart clone and make it very unique and fun, I think it would be Square, and just from the trailer alone, it did look like a pretty good time. We've been getting some of these weird Chocobo spin-offs for a little bit now. They did the Chocobo Mystery Dungeon, I remember that was in a direct some time ago. And this looks alright. It looks like a decent little Mario Kart clone. If it's like 30, that might be worth it if you're really into Final Fantasy. 40, it seems like pushing it, although I would kind of expect it to be 40 just because it's Square and they can kind of do that. Anyways, something I have a little bit more to say on, the Smash reveal thing. This was kind of what I expected going into this direct. I know a lot of people were saying like, oh, we might get the Smash reveal tomorrow, it might all be over tomorrow. I was fully expecting them to do this, where they announce the announcement, announce where and what time they're going to reveal the new fighter. And it just makes a lot of sense. I'm actually very glad they're doing it like this, because it would be kind of a shame if we got the last Smash character in a regular direct, just like jumbled in with all this other stuff, because then it could, potentially get overshadowed by some other thing, if it's not the craziest character, we have a lot of other stuff to talk about in this direct that could potentially be even crazier than whatever Smash reveal we're going to get, although I do think we're going to get a good one, and one that's very exciting. But I'm just, I'm happy to see Smash get its own final event, and it is final. They specified that. There really does not seem to be any kind of Fighter Pass 3. I would kill all dreams and ambitions of that. Now here is the big one. Here is probably my favorite thing that they announced, revealed, showed off in this direct. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now that I'm saying it out loud, what a generic name. Like, you have like Kirby and like the Rainbow Curse, Kirby on Planet Robobot. Nah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That sounds fake. That sounds like a fake leak. Anyways, the Kirby devs have been hyping up their next big project for a really long time. People from like HAL and stuff have been saying that their next Kirby game is taking a while because it's big, because it's something different. And there were different rumors and speculation about what if we finally get 3D Kirby, and here it is. We are finally getting a brand new, fully 3D Kirby game. And this is something that people have been wishing for forever. Everyone was saying, when's Kirby gonna take that next step? We've seen nearly every other Nintendo platformer go in that direction. Mario, obviously, started it all. Then we saw Donkey Kong. I don't know if there's ever been a 3D Wario game, or Yoshi, but what I'm saying is that Kirby definitely could lend itself to 3D, and a lot of people have thought that for a really long time, and now we're finally seeing it. And not only that, it's a very different Kirby game. There are like two different kinds of Kirby games in my mind. There's like the really standard, basic Kirby games, kind of like Star Allies, where they look like Kirby. You know what you're getting into with Kirby. But then you have some of the more unique ones. You have Planet Robobot, Squeak Squad, various of the other Kirby games that don't really fall in line with that, but necessarily that like generic Kirby look, if you want to call it that. This is definitely on the weirder side, where it's like the apocalypse? Not really, it's just kind of like, you see dilapidated buildings, and like, it's kind of got that almost, this is a weird comparison, but like that Last of Us look, where everything's like broken down, but there's like nature infesting and everything. It looks really cool. I think it's a very interesting art direction, because it still looks like cute and fun, but you also know that it's like, oh shit, something happened here. It looks like a terrible tragedy happened. But it's bright, it's fun, and then you have Kirby contrasting all this like kind of destruction in the environment. It's interesting, and the gameplay itself looks like Kirby in 3D, flying around, capturing abilities, throwing out enemies with his mouth, and it looks really, really fun. It is just a very, very exciting looking game. Coming out in spring of next year, so that's definitely one that I will be anticipating. And this is something I said on Twitter, but I was really hoping we'd see an Animal Crossing update in this direct. And we kind of did. They announced that there would be an Animal Crossing direct, which is good. You know, this game has kind of felt dead for the past couple of months. I know there are people who like fall off of Animal Crossing almost immediately, but I really went the distance with Animal Crossing. I went for maybe like 4 months straight of like playing the game nearly every day. But it was around that time where I just really fell off and I did not want to get back into it. And it was majorly because there wasn't anything new. There wasn't anything new updates coming out. It felt like the game had just slowed to a crawl, like I had done everything. It has been a very long time since we've gotten any substantial update. And so Nintendo shows up and you see the Brewster little icon, and you see that it's a little cafe, and then it says that you get the full announcement in October. And yes, I'm glad we're getting a new update. I'm glad we're getting a direct. If they're doing an entire direct just for this Animal Crossing update, that's gotta mean that it's substantial. That's gotta mean that there are big things in this update, enough so that they can have their own probably 20-minute-ish little announcement video for it. But why show us anything in the first place then? Why tease Brewster and the cafe and then just say, oh, wait for this announcement to get the full thing? It's like, what? Just either show us the full thing, show us all the new content that's coming in this update, or don't do any of that and just say, we have an Animal Crossing update coming, here's the thing, and don't spoil Brewster, because now everyone knows. I mean, everyone already did know because it kind of leaked like months ago, but it's just a really weird way of rolling it out, and I don't know why they would do that. And also, the update actually happens in November? Bro, by that time, I'm probably gonna have Animal Crossing uninstalled. I'm gonna have to make space for all these other games that are coming out. You know, it's like, that's a long time, including, you know, the time before this direct where we haven't gotten anything major. I haven't touched Animal Crossing in months. It just feels disappointing. And I know I'm actually in the minority here. I was surprised to see how many people were just happy that we were getting an update at all. And I always figured that we would get an update. It's just disappointing that it's taking this long, and they kind of ruined the surprise of it, and it's just bleh. Anyways, I did not expect to rant about Animal Crossing for that long. We've got some additional, new, exciting, at least interesting information regarding Nintendo Switch Online. This was a big, heavily rumored topic for a while. There was these like FCC filings and, you know, things were being thrown around here and there, basically all pointing to either Game Boy or N64 being added to Nintendo Switch Online. And we got N64 games, yes. Although now it is a new subscription tier. They haven't announced details for it yet, but basically you pay a little more and you get N64 games along with SNES and NES. It makes sense, you know, Nintendo values their IPs a lot, so paying a little bit more to get this additional library of games, it makes sense. And they're N64 games, that's really exciting. A lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for those games, and they're really fun. I don't know, it's an interesting library of games that I feel like doesn't get re-released a whole lot, but of course it was not only that, they also added the Sega Genesis to this. I don't know if anybody saw that coming. Adding Sega Genesis to Nintendo Switch Online, it's mind-blowing. It's not even Nintendo, you know, this is going to some third-party consoles. Honestly, I don't know if I would have, like, upgraded my subscription if it was just N64 games. When you throw Genesis into it as well, I feel like that makes it worth it. Whatever the price would be, I'm assuming it's going to be maybe like a $10 increase. And in my eyes, if you add N64 and Genesis to that, and potentially more systems in the future if they want to keep on adding to this, that sounds worth it. Finally, I can play Sonic 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Never been able to do that before. Jokes aside though, I am excited to play Paper Mario, Banjo-Kazooie, Gunstar Heroes, Rystar, and the controllers look really nice as well. We're getting that classic 3-prong N64 controller, as well as a Genesis controller. Although Nintendo, decided to be Nintendo. We're getting the 3-button controller instead of the 6-button, but other regions, like I think Japan and stuff, are getting the 6-button. And Nintendo, why do you do these things? What's wrong with you? You had to make a whole nother mold for the 3-button controller when you already had the 6-button controller, which is way better, and you're only releasing that over there, and I don't understand this company sometimes. Anyways, lowering my blood pressure, let's talk about this Castlevania Advance Collection. I'm more excited for this than I should be. This is kind of leaked out a little bit early. We heard about this, I believe a few weeks ago, that there would be a Castlevania Advance Collection, and I just so happened to have played Castlevania Aria of Sorrow last year on Game Boy. I actually got the cartridge, I bought a new Game Boy, and I played through the whole thing, and it was fantastic. It's actually one of my favorite Metroidvanias, I guess, that I've ever played. It was really fun. I played through it like 3 times. And so, lo and behold, we get a collection of all the GBA Castlevania games. And while I haven't tried Circle of the Moon or Harmony of Dissonance, I'm very, very interested in this collection, if just to have Aria of Sorrow on my favorite console of all time. Might be a little early to call the Switch my favorite console of all time, but I don't know, I feel something with this console. We have a connection. And just in my opinion, this collection is way more appealing than the last Castlevania collection they did. I know those games are like classics, you know, they're from the NES and the SNES, but these are from the GBA Castlevanias. Those are fire. And it comes with Castlevania Dracula X or something, I forgot what the name of it is. But that one looks pretty cool too. I don't know really anything about it, but it looks neat. Next we have a banger of a game, one that everyone has been talking about, ActRaiser Renaissance. Okay, not everyone has been talking about this game. And honestly, I don't have anything to say on it either. I just think it's cool that Square is going for those deep cuts and going for these really obscure titles that, well, they may have like really cult fans, but they're, you know, it's a small fan base. And they're still going and doing remasters, remakes, new games in some instances for these series that don't really have such a huge audience. I just think it's commendable because we're in an era of gaming where it seems like niche titles are getting less and less attention. We have just recently heard news of, you know, Sony focusing really hard on the Western market and only on their big titles like Spider-Man and God of War, and shutting down Japan studios who, you know, really specialized in those niche kind of obscure games. So yeah, nothing really to say about ActRaiser. I just find what Square's doing to be really cool. And they've been doing it for like years, so just keep it up. Next we have Deltarune Chapter 2 on Switch. This happened very quickly. I don't really have a lot to say because A, I don't want to spoil Deltarune for anybody, but also I already played it on PC, so I might eventually play it again on Switch just for the novelty of it. But I really like Deltarune and I love Chapter 2. So if you have not played it yet, if you've been waiting for them to put out the Switch version, here you go, like only a week later or so. Okay, no, I can do this. So then Miyamoto comes out. you all know what I'm talking about. When Miyamoto came out, I was like, oh my god, are we getting like an Odyssey 2 announcement? Is that what's happening here? They're like hyping this up. And then he started talking about the movie, and I was like, oh, are we gonna get a trailer in this direct? That would be interesting, a worldwide premiere during this Nintendo Direct. That's unexpected. Of course, that's not what we got. Instead, he just talked about how things are going behind the scenes, the time frame of when we could expect to see the movie, and the casting. The voice actors for who would be playing Mario and his friends in the Illumination Mario movie. Like, we've got Charlie Day as Luigi, we got Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong? It's very obvious that they want a very weird but star-studded lineup, and I don't actually have a problem with most of these picks. I mean, Jack Black as Bowser sounds weird, but actually makes a lot of sense. I feel like he could play a really funny Bowser. Charlie Day as Luigi is one of the strangest things of all time, but my god, I need to see that. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Really? I need to see that. Toad talks like this! What's he gonna do? There is one actor who I am not pleased to see in this movie. It's incredible that I know like most of these people. I think the only person I don't know is Princess Peach's voice actor. But there is one actor who I don't like to see here, and that is Chris Pratt as Mario. Mr. Star-Lord Chris Pratt himself is playing the funny Wahoo Man. Now look, we haven't seen his Mario impression, we haven't heard him speak in his Mario voice. We don't know what his impression might be like. But I can't really imagine it being that good. Anyone that you pick besides Charles Martinet is gonna be a controversial pick, at least for the core Nintendo audience, because that's the Mario everybody knows and loves. He's been voicing the character for years and years and years. And he is in this movie, but only as like special cameos, whatever that means, which is just confusing because if you have the voice actor for Mario in the Mario movie, why is he not voicing Mario? Well, the answer is pretty obvious. Obviously, this is a Hollywood production. They want Hollywood actors, big names on their funny little movie poster, which brings up another conversation about like, hey, why didn't they just get regular voice actors who, you know, specialize in doing cartoon voices? Not even necessarily the actual Mario cast if you couldn't get them to do the whole movie, maybe just other voice actors? But then again, I do want to see Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, so you know what? Carry on. I'll hold back my criticisms of the film industry. But yeah, just Mario specifically and Chris Pratt rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it. Anyways, remember when these were about video games? Yeah, there's this cool thing called Splatoon 3 that's coming out. Again, one of the most anticipated games in this direct. I think a lot of people are very excited for Splatoon 3. And this trailer kind of showed more Splatoon 3. It showed a bit more of the Turf War, which looks like more of the Turf War. But we also got a specific showcase of story mode. It looks like story mode in your typical Splatoon game, you know, these little obstacle course style little shooting sections. But there's also a lore element to it. It's like there's this really big focus on mammals, which in the Splatoon lore, pretty much all mammals have gone extinct except for 2 cats, who are the ones that judge you at the end of each match. But it seems like mammals are coming back somehow, which is interesting in the concept of the game being about chaos, because that's like Splatfest and stuff. I don't really know where the lore of the game is necessarily going, but it is actually pretty cool that they decide to expand on it, because that's just not something you see done with many Nintendo games. In terms of the gameplay though, it kinda just looks like Splatoon to me. Yeah, I know there was the guy from the Squid Research Lab who talked about how there are like multiple weapons that you can use at once now and like different abilities, and that's all cool, but it still kinda just looks like Splatoon. It's just a hard sell when we already have Splatoon 2 on Switch, which is already a phenomenal game, so you really gotta make this one different, which it is being different in terms of the story, in terms of the aesthetics, and seems like slight gameplay changes, but I don't know if that's necessarily enough to make me go, ooh, I wanna buy it right now. Honestly, what's gonna get me to pick up the game is the fact that my brothers are interested in the game, because they have not bought Splatoon 2, but they wanted to, but then Splatoon 3 was already announced, so they're like, I'll just wait for Splatoon 3, which means I'm probably gonna buy Splatoon 3 just so I can play with them. Nintendo, I am in your fucking pocket. And the final game to end off this big old direct, Bayonetta 3. This, in my opinion, was the perfect trailer for this game. It starts off and you don't really know what kind of game it is. It looks like some kind of shooter, there's like demons, then you see a pan over to the dog from Astral Chain, you're like, oh my god, it's Astral Chain 2? No. It's Bayonetta 3, and Bayonetta swoops down and you get to see her new look, and it is just a mind-blowing reveal. And not only the showmanship of it, but after that we get to see 2 solid minutes of just gameplay. That's unheard of in a trailer. You mean you can just show gameplay like that? And that gameplay itself looks really, really good. It's the typical flashy action combat that you've come to expect from Bayonetta. It was not only the perfect way to end this direct, but to reassure fans that this game is coming out, is real, everything is fine, because it looks fantastic, and it's gonna be the Bayonetta 3 that everyone wants it to be. Overall, I really like this direct. I don't think it is necessarily the best direct we've ever gotten, but it also doesn't really need to be that. It was this weird direct that came out of nowhere and just had a lot of really pleasant announcements. It's not like E3 where it needs to be this groundbreaking, jaw-dropping presentation. This one just needed to be a fun look to the future. And my god, what a look. 2022 is looking absolutely stacked already. First of all, just from here, we got Kirby, Bayonetta, Splatoon, Monster Hunter, on top of the games that we already know are coming next year, like Pokemon Legends Arceus, and oh yeah, Breath of the Wild 2. I'm just so excited for next year and the games that it has in store. And this direct was a really great way to sort of hype up that next year, anticipation. But let me know what you all thought about this direct down in the comments below. Whether you loved it, whether you hated it, what was your favorite game of the showcase? For me, personally, Kirby was definitely the one that I am most looking forward to, and Bayonetta 3, obviously, that game looks fantastic. And yeah, I would say those two, and maybe the N64 Online, if you want to count that as a sort of game announcement. But yeah, let me hear any and all thoughts down below, and again, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Enjoy the like button, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you all later. Peace.